Happened there? No intro. Here it comes.
She might say something about that one, Mike. That's a little bit quick.
I don't know. I hit the counter and it didn't do nothing.
Everybody has one of those incidents.
Yep.
Yeah. We're having a good
Some
chat.
more than others.
We're
She
having
must have been too cute.
we were having a good chat about your squat backstage.
Yeah, no, I wasted all my good stuff for you guys.
Right?
I got nothing left.
That's all right. You can still tell everybody else what you got so we can see it in upcoming videos.
Well, I feel self-conscious, and I tell you maybe I don't know how you guys roll, so I know you're pretty casual. I just don't want to be like say anything wrong or get too.
Oh, it's anything goes here, Steffan.
Yeah.
I'm not monetized, so it don't matter.
That shouldn't be me.
What?
I heard some beeping. I was thinking maybe it was a computer, but I have the headset on, so I shouldn't be hearing that.
I thought we got rid of all the technical difficulties.
So did I.
That's a couple of them.
Let's roll.
Just a few.
I was just making sure it wasn't me. That's all.
Just a few gremlins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recognize everybody in this chat. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Like these are all they all subscribe. I feel blessed.
Oh yeah.
Mandy.
They're the same hoodlums that follow us around, and we follow
Right.
them.
Yeah. Some
I hear a cat.
Yeah, mine.
Cat wants to eat a fish.
Nah, not really.
Nah, they never do, but they might drink from the tank, right?
She does that.
My
Or sleep
mom,
on top of it.
my mom just got a tank, and she was like, "We need a lid," and I'm like, "No, you don't, because then he'll jump on it. You let him drink from the tank. It's better than him jumping on the lid."
Yeah.
And her cat's 12 pounds. It's a monster.
Mine ain't that big.
And a lot of times they jump up there and get wet a few times.
They won't get up there no more.
They're pretty careful when they get up there, though. They're pretty careful.
Yeah, I love her cat, and I mean, I love how cats just stare at the aquarium. And dogs are, they get bored with that pretty quick. It's not their jam.
Yeah.
Mine spend the whole time snooping around underneath to see if there's a fish on the floor.
Which there is, I bet.
Sometimes there is. And then
I don't know. I have no lids on any of my tanks, and people are always like, "Dude, I mean, don't you?" And it's surprising how few, but I can't lie. Of course, there's like one a week or something, and it could be anything. It's no specific species. But I don't like lids. I've got stuff growing out of the tanks, and that's something I really love to do, and lids would make that much more challenging.
Yeah. I like that. I've been trying for a couple of years to get a crypt, just a regular bronze crypt, to grow up out of a tank and see what happens.
I don't know if crypts, I mean, anything's possible. In the wild, they do whatever nature lets them do. I don't have too much. Well, I have a sword plant that's way out of the water. I mean, it's making flowers and the whole nine. But basically, I use house plants and just root them around. And over time, they form this like great backdrop. You don't even need to put any back on your aquarium. It's all natural. Just vines and stems and all of the leaves. It forms a beautiful natural background, so you don't have to do that like paint it black or whatever some people do. Do you guys do
Right.
that? Do you paint the back of your tanks?
No, yeah, not typically. It depends on the goals. Like if I want to breed a light sensitive fish, then I'll paint the tank all the way around except for the front, and then black it out.
And then the tank's like that for life. So
No,
right,
yeah,
no?
it's the paint is
They
yeah,
scrape it.
yeah, you can scrape it, but that's a no substrate, no nothing tank. It's just main purpose is eggs,
For like what, quarries or something?
uh, tetras, some
Oh,
quarries, but tetras.
I've not tried breeding tetras before. What's do you did all different kinds or just a couple?
Um, the harder to breed species are more light sensitive, but I
Like,
think even the neons and the cardinals fare better with a darkened out tannin heavy tank.
yep, no doubt. So what are you doing any of that now?
No, I just picked up some cardinals to play with though. They just got to survive.
Yeah, I don't buy those at the swaps because
Unlike your rummy nose.
I need to.
Yeah, unlike the Rominos.
I need to get him from an LFS where I know he's quarantined the Cardinals because they're trickier, as you know.
Yeah, I'd rather quarantine them myself. I have better luck that way.
Yeah, well, you're a better man than I.
Not
just-
always.
I just try to buy from the one guy I know because I've seen his quarantine system. I mean, I've gone back there because I don't. If I have space for a quarantine tank, it becomes an aquarium. It's just my fish room's in my house. It's not in a garage or a basement, so I don't have a lot of real estate to play with, and I maxed it out.
This is a room in my house. I finally just evacuated all the kids left behind things and took it over and remodeled it.
Wow, it looks like it looks. Maybe it's a trick of the camera, but it looks like bigger bigger bedroom.
No, I'd say was it about 12 by 17, 12 by 16.
Wow.
So it's 16 feet behind me, then 12 feet side to side.
Yeah, 16. Well, mine's smaller. You guys wouldn't believe. I mean, you're welcome to always come visit if you go to Cubs game or something. I'm 2 miles from there. You could walk to Wrigley, but my fish room's on a third floor of an apartment building, and that's a whole different ball game, right? I got people living under me, so knock on wood about water, and I've got people that to walk to the bedrooms, you got to walk through my fish room. But since my kids are gone, it's just my wife and the dog. It's kind of all good, and she's great, right? She doesn't give me a hard time unless there's a smell, and I make sure there's never a smell. Like I try to keep the fish room so that you can't tell there's all this life from your nose. You cannot your nose will not tell you there's a whole bunch of ecosystems, right? Your eyes do, but not your nose. And my wife would be like, "This isn't working." So
I know you've got a few collectibles from vintage aquarium stuff.
yeah, super fun. And my kids, they don't know what to get their dad for his birthday, and so now they know, right? Just go on, just keep scouring eBay. If you find some old like aquarium stuff, that'll make me happy, and it does, right? So, and then I have a shelf that's too high for fish tanks. I mean, you guys could probably make it work, and maybe one day, but it's my top shelf of the rack, and I keep all those fun things, stuff like this piece of crap from Penplex. That when you were a kid, you'd put this stuff in your aquarium.
He would have a blast at that place Eric Bodrock's got with all that vintage aquarium stuff.
Yeah, I know who that is. Now I stopped buying it. Enough was enough, right? But there's a whole, like, eBay made all of that crap become a lot more collectible. And the very first Penplex was the Creature of the Black Lagoon. And if you
Two
have one
different
of
colors.
that's right, and the older original color, if you actually have it, I mean,
Bodrock has it.
that's the most expensive piece of aquarium, except for old aquariums, like the old jewel or crystal aquariums. Those are
Now, I've got the
thousands.
old meta frames
Yeah, those are
with
beautiful.
slate bottoms. Yeah.
So beautiful, I think. There's a guy in Wisconsin, his fish shop, Jeff. I know you must know of it. It's up by Green
I've heard of
Bay.
him.
Yeah,
I've heard
by
of it. I
Green
haven't been there
Bay.
yet, though.
It's
I still gotta
all
make it over there.
metaframe. All
Yeah.
metaframe. Chrome. It's like having chrome, from the front end to the back end with chrome and glass. Yeah, he's near Green Bay.
I think Primetime did a video on that fish store where every tank in it was metaframe tanks.
That's the guy.
Hmm.
That's the guy. So
It'd be like walking back in time.
and yeah, all of us I don't know if you guys started this hobby as like when you were boys, like I did, but that was what you bought.
I started out when I was like 5 or 6.
So if you went to it, they didn't. I don't think Petco even existed. So if you went to
No.
you go to the neighborhood fish shop, and they'd sell you a metaframe probably, or a competitor, a 10-gallon, or a 29-gallon. That was my first tank. I had bowls, and then I got a 29-gallon, and it was a metaframe and a Dynaflow filter in the back.
I still have a Dynaflow. Even have one of the old silent giant air pumps.
Hey, do they make them like they used to?
It is from back then. You can buy rebuild kits for them.
I mean, do you think all the latest is any better than that?
Not really. Air pumps are air pumps.
Exactly.
Unless you get into the linears. But the diaphragm pumps, they haven't really changed a whole lot.
It's funny, the technology for all the fancy guys. It's basically a bucket with tubes where you push water in, it goes through a bunch of stuff, and it comes out cleaner. I mean, that hasn't changed.
Well, if you remember way back in the day, the old linear piston air pumps, they had a little motor, and then it had a belt that ran to the piston that pushed the air back and forth. And
Yeah,
you'd have
it's like
to
an
put a little
oil
oil
rig
on it every now and then, and the belt would break, and you'd stick a rubber band on it just to keep it going.
I think I'm kind of old, but I'm not that old. When I went, it was always those little blue plastic air pumps. They came in a box like size of a hockey puck. That was what I bought. I don't remember the brand name. It's right there on the tip of my tongue. But no, the piston ones. There's a place. He has a YouTube channel, the Museum of Aquarium History.
Yeah, I've watched him.
Yeah, so like every week he does a 5-minute unboxing of all this cool stuff from around the world that people send him for his museum. And
some of them bird cages he gets. Oh my God.
Right. I mean, I'm not a bird. Do any of you? I don't do birds, but there's
I don't either. But there's some of them he gets. They're pretty cool.
Oh, they're beautiful. It's a fun channel. If anyone out there doesn't know, I forget what exactly it's called, but just search Museum of Aquarium History and watch some of his stuff. He grew up at maybe Metaframe or one of those companies. Like he was an employee, and one thing led to another, something like that.
Yeah, and he did an interview not long ago with like 2 of the grandkids of the owners of Penplex.
I watched that.
Pretty interesting. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's where they talked about the Creature of the Black Lagoon and how valuable the original is, and how they couldn't get the license to it because they kind of just did it without asking Universal Pictures. So they had to cease and desist. So they came up with the Creature, but not from the Black Lagoon.
Right.
and all that stuff. That's what they were talking about. I don't know. I'm nerding out. I nerd out on that stuff. I think it's just like as good a fun thing to watch as any.
Well, that was back in the heydays.
I got, even as a kid, I was into the natural look. Like I like plants and rocks and gravel. I didn't go for any like fake ships or skeletons and stuff like that. I've got all that in my fish room now, but it's it's on display. It's not in the aquarium. But
You know,
Well, that was a big thing back then.
when you were showing your shelf,
yeah, I'm looking at it right now. All the cool stuff. There's some porcelain air stone. I don't know what you would call them, bubblers, where they're like scuba divers from the 50s, but they're not made of plastic. They're made of like porcelain, and they're hand painted. Usually from Japan or something, and
yeah. But I was gonna say, clear on the right hand side on your tour, there's a tank that's like 2 gallons, 2.5 gallons. All
Yep.
glass.
yep.
I carried that home from Woolworths in like 1974.
The battery kind of one. It's called like a battery style. It looks like about the size of a car battery.
Yeah,
Or-
it's about that size.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I've seen that tank. I used to have that tank. And I think my mom might still have it because she put house plants in it when I left it there.
She might. You never know.
Yeah.
They're so cool, but the only downside is, and it's not quite a deal breaker, but I mean, the glass sucks for viewing your fish.
Mhm.
It's a lot worse than even the cheapest aquarium now is so much better for viewing. Now it's more fragile. It's not nearly it's not as beautiful as the tank without any stuff in it, like the one your mom has. If you clean that out, like I did, it's just a beautiful thing in and of itself. But when you put fish in there, it's sort of like looking at them without your glasses on. It's just not beautiful.
Yeah.
So,
If I get it back from her, I'll probably just, like you did, I'll put it up on a shelf.
or do something with plants, or something like maybe if you're a few least killifish or something, just see where it goes. But yeah, I put it up on a shelf. That's too high for aquariums, at least for me. Maybe Jeff has a swinging ladder and all that going on, but
Man, I got a stool. I'm considering a rolling ladder though.
I've
You
seen
need like
fish-
the old libraries had, the rolling ladders.
Yep. Yeah, I'm considering one.
and then you could like do it like those old libraries, right? With sort of a slot, and it can, so it doesn't, so it's affixed to the rack, and you just move it back and forth.
Actually, I had to fix it to the ceiling. I've got a bunch of unit strut, so I can get kind of creative with it.
Wow, that would be sweet. That would be sweet. I mean, when I worked at a fish store, which lasted 5 weeks before the guy fired me, he didn't have anything like that. You had to deal one tank at a time. He didn't have a universal water change, because of disease and concern there. But it was time consuming. It is for all of us, but a fish shop. He fired me.
Yeah.
That's the whole story in and of itself. I actually did that job fairly recently, just because my main job kind of ran out, and I'm a man of a certain age, and I thought I should get out in the world, and I did. Well, maybe I'll work at a fish store, and I found a guy who hired me. But then he would send me to people's houses and have me work on their aquariums, and the guy's house he sent me to was what's the word? Untenable. It wasn't. I didn't like being there. He kept like big fish in every room of a normal house. He'd have these big tanks with big
Were you,
fish.
Were you taking care of Whip's tanks?
No, no. And the thing is, half of them were saltwater, and half of them were freshwater. And he had fish tanks in the laundry room, and all his washing machines were rusted from the saltwater. And he had wires and tubes everywhere. And the fish store owner was like, "Go figure that out and test all his water every time you go." And I mean, I'm like, saltwater testing. I'm sitting there and he said, "Now mark it on the app so that I can see what you're doing." And it wasn't worth minimum wage to do all that, And I said, "No, I want to work in the fish store. I want to sell fish to kids. I want to have."
When I worked at the pet store in the '90s and I was in school, I got paid $2 an hour in store credit.
Oh shit!
But basically, you could. But I mean, that might be a really sweet deal. I mean, back in the day, to get store credit.
I only got
no.
Like
not
a
when it's
25% discount.
not when it's your daily job. Store credit don't count.
Well, but when you're a kid,
No.
I did have to pay for my car insurance.
No.
I thought it was even before then. I mean, I had a paper route, and then, remember newspapers? I delivered them.
No, I did a lot of hard work to be able to pull it off.
I started working back in the '90s for $4.25 was minimum wage.
That's right, I remember that.
And but I got tips. I was a bag boy at a grocery store, but I lived in a high-end neighborhood, and people tipped go bag their groceries and take them to the car. So I mean, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, I mean, everyone else is making $6.25, but I'm making people were making $4.25, and I'm making like $6.50 because I'm like, well, I'm just doing my job. And
I started working when he was working in the hay fields, getting 50 cents a bale.
Right. Well, and that's what I hate right now is where I work. I work by flag hour now, but you have to understand Cheryl works with me, so if we're there for 40 hours a day, you double that. We're there for 80 hours a week. I'm like, if we're not making 80 hours, why the hell are we here? So instead of us being there from 8 to 5, we're there now like 9 to 4, and we just cut our hours back. It's like, all right. I mean, when the work is done, the work is done. Now, when you're busy and you're making money, okay. But I'm not going to just stand around to do nothing.
Where do you work at, Ryan?
I work at a. I'm not going to tell you the business name necessarily. It's a collision body shop.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I got you. And your wife works there too? Is it or am I wrong about that? All right.
Yeah. Cheryl, CR Fish. Everyone knows her better than they know me, and she is my helper. And she got tired of just dealing with public. And she's like, give me a job outside of the public and let me just go to work and just do my thing. And I'm like, that's my job. That's what I do. I work in the back, and I don't have to deal with public, and it's rewarding and sometimes, but yeah, it can detriment you on other times.
That your job reminds me of that YouTuber you guys all know. What is it? Hagen Hill in Wisconsin. HHD. He works at a auto shop, I think.
Yeah, Jake.
He used to.
Yeah, he used to. He doesn't anymore.
Okay, but what a great. Him and his wife. They're great. I love those two.
Jake and Katie. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've had them on several times.
I thought about having her. I was like, hey, why don't we just go live stream, or why don't we do a YouTube post? I'm like, okay, let me make sure I have my paint vest on, my all my OSHA calibrated stuff on before we post this to anything, because I'd hate for OSHA to want to come in and say, hey, you're not doing this right.
Right. Brandon works in a body shop too.
Yeah, Brent does. He's a painter's helper. We've talked about that quite a bit in the past. But he's up in Chicago, I think, or somewhere up there,
or southern Wisconsin, just across the border.
Neck of the woods.
I worked in a body shop back in the late '80s for about a year. But mine was mainly doing all the welding and stuff on custom cars.
Well, I know that's what we were kind of talking about last time we were on together with Mike. Was that you were doing that?
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned that you said you need something painted here coming up, and I didn't say a word about it, but I'm here.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later, Ryan.
Yeah, I figured you weren't quite ready, but know that between me and Cheryl, we can get some things done.
Right.
It is nice having, I can do all the work by myself, but I am getting older, and it is nice having a helper.
Yep.
And so even if she's playing on YouTube half the day, whatever.
Right.
When I have to draw the whip, I will, but I let her slack a bunch.
Right.
But she's not dealing with management of customer service, and she don't have to deal with employees, so it's a win-win for both of us.
Right.
Except that she has to put up with me for 24 hours a day.
Right.
That's the hardest struggle, is her putting up with me.
Steffan, you're a writer?
Yep. I just finished a book too. I was talking about it on one of my videos. It took me away from fish keeping. I was so intent, and now I'm looking for an agent because that's what you got to do. But I also my job was I wrote TV commercials, so I was. Do you guys remember in the 90s, Not Your Father's Oldsmobile, that ad campaign?
Yeah.
Remember that one?
I wrote that.
Yep.
Nice.
This is not your father's Oldsmobile. This is the new generation of old. Yeah, it was a great ad campaign, and it drove everyone to the showroom, and they discovered that the ad was really true. It was not your father's Oldsmobile, because my father's Oldsmobile was awesome, and these new ones sucked. And soon after, they went out of business, and there is no more Oldsmobile. Yeah. So I did the last. But yeah, I mean, that was, oh my God. We had famous people and their kids. So I did a commercial with William Shatner and his daughter. I did one with David Brubeck, the jazz musician, and his kids. And another one. I mean, crazy. Advertising before the internet was crazy.
I think that General Motors made a big mistake by getting rid of Pontiac. I know you just mentioned Oldsmobile, and they're no longer in service. But Uh,
Yeah, that
for them,
that brand felt like it still had a lot of power. You know, like it could still find a. I don't know why they
it,
did that. I mean,
it had a niche, and why they kept Buick. I was like, oh my god, Buick
Yeah,
was
I'm not sure.
my the last brand I would have kept. I would have kept Oldsmobile or Pontiac before Buick, but
Yeah, they should have ditched Buick and kept Oldsmobile.
Yes.
yeah,
but
I
think
agree.
about it. I mean, the name Oldsmobile. It says it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, it has the word old in it, and that was a tough one to get around. That's why we did the line, the new generation of olds, to try to play it so that
It was still
Right.
just a Chevy with a different brand on it.
Yeah.
General Motors. Yeah, I used to go I used to go there to present ads. It's like on Mad Men where you hold up storyboards and you in this frame a character to all that. That was my job. It was awesome.
You go talk
Well,
storyboards nowadays, and kids look at you like a what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I did work
storyboard.
for
it's all
I
different.
did work for a guy that did the designing on one of the modern Suburbans. I think it was like a 2000s generation.
that's what when I'm Cheryl's got a Tahoe and I have an Escalade, and it's exactly the same car, except okay, mine might ride a little bit smoother
And
and
different
it has
trim.
and different trim, but you know if my windshield gets busted out, it's a Tahoe that day. You know,
Same thing.
same thing, same car.
Well, my dad had a 70s Cutlass Supreme with the like, what do you call it when the top was brown? That, what do they call that?
Broham
Uh,
top.
Yeah,
Lando.
it was so awesome, and it had, I think it had, you guys would know, if it had, I think, a 440 or some badass engine in it, and
442.
yeah, I think, and then you know, these new ones in the 90s with the ads we did, they were ahead of their time. I mean, they were using a lot of digital interface, and nobody ever seen this stuff before, but it was kind of like driving in a video game. It didn't like feel, I want to say it was too they reached too far. Like they forgot what people liked about the car in the first place.
Yeah. And all the cars you see nowadays, they all pretty much look the same. That was the thing about the older cars. They all had character.
Unless
I
you're
don't know.
talking
That's
about a Tesla pickup truck.
yeah. I was just gonna say the Tesla truck looks way the hell different.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it looks like some space age aircraft. That's
Well, I mean,
take flight.
Yeah.
if you go back to like bring it all back to aquariums, the Tesla pickup truck is the oddball fish, right? You know,
Pretty much.
it's like that one crazy fish that only
The balloon body Oscar.
Is that only I
Yeah.
like?
Yeah.
or the
Special
long
kind of
fin,
love.
the long fin Oscars. You guys ever seen
long
those?
fin balloon body? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen those. I've seen the long fin Oscars. They kind of look weird.
Yeah, I don't think
Except for
it's-
June's. June has
Really?
one named Shadow. That thing is just gorgeous. The fins are like the perfect length. They're not too long.
And does the behavior of the fish, is it like changed? Is it still
No.
an aggressive like feeder and stuff?
It's still just an Oscar. Yeah. I think it was one of the tank bosses even.
Interesting. That seems like an oddball for sure, like a Tesla pickup truck, and then that's just funny if you think of cars and fish, like the bread and butter fish and the bread and butter cars. Toyotas and Hondas would be like your basic Eons, and
Oh, we were driving down the highway the other day. I'm like, what in the world is this car that's coming up on us? And it was wrapped So, and half the emblems were missing. And I'm like, hey, I work on cars and like, what kind of car is this? I'm like, I think it was a Genesis, but it had the headlights like a Mercedes Benz. But I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I can't figure it out. Cheryl couldn't
It was
either.
Curtis's dune buggy.
Well, yeah, I know. We would have figured that one out.
It was Curtis's VW dune buggy.
Yeah, I mean, if I was on my motorcycle, maybe I could have slowed down enough to look a little closer. But
Yeah. If I was next to you in my dune buggy, you would have to speed up to catch me.
yeah, well,
Curtis, have you seen the episode where they take one and they put an electric motor in it?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Hayabusa motor in a smart car is my favorite one.
Yeah.
There's this goofy dude that I work with, and he took 2 chainsaw motors and put it on one of those Walmart, like little go-karts for kids.
Oh, shit.
oh no.
He's got a chainsaw motor on each rear wheel, and he drives it like a bobcat. You want nothing to do with that.
I wouldn't think so.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, that
Isn't that,
Cybertruck thing is fugly.
What Cheryl's after?
Hey now.
Light bearer?
Pike like her.
That emblem looked like that, but it was red instead of black.
Okay, Cheryl's telling me now she's looking up the paint emblem or the car emblems, and she says maybe it was a Bentley.
Ooh,
So
so they had money there.
Yeah, he parked a mile back. He didn't know how to get up close to people, and he didn't know how to drive it. He was scared to drive it.
Probably scared to scratch it.
Yeah, well, if it was a Bentley, I guess I can give him a little bit of credit, but I thought it was one of those new Genesis or something that I don't know. I've seen too many people do things. Oh, speaking of, I've seen too many people doing silly things with Hayabusa engines, turning them into snowmobiles or wave runners, or the Hayabusa is just I mean, I ride Harleys, but you have to give props where they're due. The Hayabusa is a badass motor.
Yeah.
If you want to go 200 miles an hour, that's the way you go. Me, I'm okay with doing just let me puddle around back here.
Now, what kind of books are you writing, Steffan? Are they like fiction, nonfiction?
Gee whiz, like fiction. So there was a couple novels I wrote back in the day. They're still on Amazon. You can find them. My author page. One of them was like science fiction, and the other was kind of a modern fable. I mean, they got good reviews. It didn't sell super well. I mean, and I would never pimp them. I mean, you asked, I wouldn't make anybody watching this even search them out. The book I wrote now is way better, in my opinion. But I also wrote advertising. That's why we were talking about it earlier. So right. Yeah, I mean, I made my living writing, and I used to make a really good living, and it was a lot of fun. But now the internet killed advertising, and YouTube basically took a put a bullet right in the heart of expensive advertising. And
It kind of killed the books too.
well, the thing
Yeah.
that's hurt, the thing that's really the new thing is AI, and so if you can get on Chat GPT and just ask that to write a book for you, it'll do it.
Right.
And I mean that's really dangerous. And so now when I'm querying all these literary agents, it's one of the first things they ask: is this an AI written book? And I'm like, no. But I use the tools. AI is great. It'll help you with your grammar. It'll help you put together. It's like having a writing partner. It's really unbelievable.
Almost
I know
almost
kids are.
like a ghostwriter.
Well, I don't. I give it my writing and
Hmm.
I ask it to proofread it. I say, "Can you check this? See how my spelling? Did I use tense? Um, did I?" And they'll say, "This is very well done, Stefan. Maybe you should try this or consider this." And I'm like, "I don't like that, but show me some more like that." And it's like working with somebody. It's crazy, and I know my kids are already out of school, but I know all the students now. It's too easy to cheat. You could
Hmm.
cheat. You could ask ChatGPT anything, and it'll give. It's way better than Google. It's the new. It's like if Google were 100 times more efficient.
You see, I know like the schools here, they've cracked down on a lot of the students using the chat
Yeah,
here.
but the students are smarter than the teachers. The teachers are like old farts like us, and what the fuck? The kids are they're gonna figure it out faster than the schools. The
Oh yeah.
thing is, my opinion is instead of pretending it's not happening, just totally learn about it. Like it goes back to better to be know your enemy. So don't like ignore it or pretend. Hey kids, you have to write a term paper now. Don't use Chat GPT because we have filters. That's not good enough. You need to like
I'm,
say, I understand you're going to use Chat GPT, but I want to talk about how we can do that so that it's honest and fair.
Right.
I thought you were getting ready to say Dewey Decimal System, but okay.
No, that's a whole different animal. I know people watching the stream. They know if anyone's a teacher, they would know better than I of like what a incredible. I want to say influence because it's a threat, but it's also a good thing if you do it right. It's like it can really help in so many ways. But I mean, every other horror movie is about AI, so you know how dangerous. That's what I love about our hobby. There's no AI, there's no artificial
Right.
intelligence. It's like filters that are the same essentially as they were when we were kids. It's glass boxes, it's water, it's sword tails, it's neon tetras. I mean, there's nothing high tech really. There's CO2. That's the highest tech is a cylinder filled with gas. And we
Unless you
call
get into the saltwater side, and then they got basically computers that can tell you everything.
yeah, but
But
You can
it's
do
we
that
still
don't
freshwater.
have that. But we don't have that in freshwater.
well, you
You can.
could. You could dose. You could set up all that,
Yeah,
but we don't
I
need
think
to.
it's available. I just don't think that we're not gonna spend the money to do it.
Well, some do.
Some
I
do, but
mean,
it's not
Some,
necessary.
No,
I don't
it's not
do that,
necessary
but
in salt either.
I had a
yeah,
saltwater tank. That's why my name is Lush and Salty. I mean, other than that, I used to drink, so I was a lush, and I'm salty because I'm, that kind of guy. But I had a big saltwater tank. I just couldn't do it in this apartment because if it got on the saltwater is way more problematic to your house than freshwater. You can clean up a spill, and if you're lucky, don't have any real damage. But saltwater is
Creep.
I
Curtis
had
had saltwater
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
If I had
I hate
a
it.
catastrophe on my 135 gallon, if that thing just busted and all that water fell out on the floor,
Oof.
I got people who live underneath me that I don't even know very well. So
We had a
that
40 breeder. Youngest daughter busted it, and it spilled out all over the floor. Salty tank.
But you don't have. There's nothing underneath your floor. You don't have. What it
I don't have any
was?
people under me.
Yeah, it was your basement or something, or the first floor,
The
right?
crawl space, yeah.
Yeah. So that the worst thing had already happened. Whereas if that happened in my apartment, that would only be the beginning of the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Salt water dripping on the people below you.
Yeah.
They might not be entertained.
And your hardwood. I got hardwood floors. They get ruined. You know, fresh
Quick.
water, you can just mop it up. But if you leave salt is just,
Corrosive.
you see what it did to all those old cars. That's why when I was in California, you see a lot more old cars because there's not a lot of precipitation, and the air doesn't have all that water in it, except for if they get.
What part of California? Because I call BS on that.
There's
Well,
a
yeah,
high
you're
desert.
right. I mean, because if you're with salt, I was living in Northern California. And but isn't that what they say about Los Angeles? Like you get the old cars, they last
Arizona.
longer. Yeah,
Arizona.
I mean, I don't know. I might have misspoke there.
No, there's some decent ones on the high desert, but yeah. Up here we
Hey,
have that beet juice now, and it just eats
My
all our
my
cars.
Oh,
my
yeah.
grandpa never drove his pickup truck in the wintertime, and it never got any salt or any snow on it. And well, it got snow on it, but it melted off before he drove it again. And it was a clean old truck because he just didn't drive it in the wintertime.
Yeah. I picked
When
up a Dodge Dakota. Had during the what was it 8 years that I had it, I put 10,000 miles on it, and the thing just slowly rusted in half.
Yeah.
It never even hit 100,000 miles.
Yeah, well, Chicago now cars are made with a material that's what is it? What do they call that? It's not metal anymore. It's
Basically plastic.
ABS.
some kind of. Well, I mean, it's better than. It's nice because it doesn't get corroded.
It depends
doesn't.
on which car you're talking about, and I can
Yeah.
follow up with you. But a lot of new pickup trucks, they started making them like the Ford F-150s. So they started doing all aluminum, and it's like aluminum still corrodes.
Roads. Yeah.
It doesn't rust, but it corrodes. It's basically the same problem. It's just they just have a different terminology for it.
Right.
Yep. Sales department.
Yeah,
That's all it
sales
is.
department. It's all in sales. And hey, let's try and fix some of these. Do it every day.
I'm looking at all the fish I got at the swap. I'm checking to see if they've all acclimated. Seems like I don't have any problems. I bought a crap ton of fish. I mean, I'm just gonna if I can do this. I added some of these longfin albino corredoras. They're like showstoppers, right? Look at that. I mean, such a common fish, but freaking beautiful. I added to this.
What?
Yeah.
Cheryl says she needs a couple.
I found more. I found more today at the swap, and I bought 3 for my mom, a bag, because she said I want those that are in that tank, the one I just showed. Everybody says that, and they're not spawning, and they're maybe I don't know why. There's everything you would want if you were a Corey, but
It's because Cheryl hadn't touched the water yet. So we everyone knows that if you want them to spawn, just let Cheryl take care of it.
she got the magic touch.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants these fish here.
I don't even go in my fish room anymore because it's just like just stay out and let her do what she's doing.
So
And I'm like, I want to come look at my fish, and I'm like, we got all these awesome new fish, and she's like, I'm growing them out. And I'm like, I know, but I want to see them now. She's like, get the hell out of my fish room.
well, it's a win. I mean, there's good and bad to that. She's taking care of business.
Oh, she is, and don't. I mean, I'm kind of joking with that, kind of, but yeah, I mean, everyone, especially on different platforms, they're like, oh, all she has to do is touch the water, and all of a sudden they start spawning. We know that's BS, but
I don't know.
it's
Maybe not.
I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with our the pH of where we're at, the water parameters of our local water is supposed to be like I think it was ranked like number 3 in the entire country or world of being the best water available, and so we just live in a good position.
You
Yeah,
want plants that grow. You want plants that grow. Steffan's got some really nice plants.
Yeah, no, I mean, when I had my saltwater tank, over time, I became more interested in the coral than the fish, and the same thing's happening with freshwater. I'm becoming more interested in the plants, although I'm kind of turning that ship back to fish a little bit, so it's 50-50. But yeah, I mean, my issue, and I'm looking at all the plants too, but the fish I got at the swap, I'm just making sure they all acclimated well. It's like the first night, and I put a lot of fish in a lot of tanks, and there were plenty of other fish in there too. So I'm just making sure that I didn't because I didn't quarantine. I mean, it's like I'm running. It's like I'm having unsafe sex with my fish room. So I know everybody. I know like Jeff quarantines and all. I don't, and
It's kind of I quarantine, but they go into their own tank, and they're usually there until they spawn, and then I pull them out.
my big learning experience, and I just did a video on it, is I just for the hell of it to show my kids, I put a pleco cave in my biggest aquarium, and within 20 minutes a pleco found it, and the next day there was spawning, and then 3 days later fanning the eggs, and I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with 150 plecostomus? So that was a shit show, because now I've got all these little babies in a breeder box. I'm going to give them to my LFS.
Hey, before you do, I'm going to tell you, when we were at the LFS here, the first thing they said was, we need some bristlenose and some plecos of any kind because they are selling out, and they're like, we can't buy them, and we need them. And I'm like, all right, let us start working on it.
They're so easy. They're easier than guppies in a way.
Oh yeah.
What I'm saying, yeah, you might check with your LFS, because, like I said, if my LFS is saying they can't get them and they're selling off the shelf, so
that's unbelievable. Because today at the swap, every other table had all the plecostomus all the different kinds. They had longfin, albino, lemon blue eyes, chocolate, calico, super red, and they had bags and bags, all different sizes. It couldn't.
I
I
know, I
mean,
know. We were giving them away too here, not
Different
just a couple
locations.
weeks ago. But
Yeah.
it's a location wise, and my like I said, my LFS said, hey, if you can get us some bristlenose or some plecos of any kind, they're just going off the shelf right now.
so
And I'm like,
I'll
shit.
trade. I'll get some store credit. I mean, I can't raise them up to be selling size, and I told the guy that. I said I just don't have the tank space, but I can get them so that they're free swimming. You know, whatever you want them, and then what he'll do is he'll give me, I don't know, he'll give me a modest store credit. Usually, he'll give me live, like blackworms, because he keeps the blackworm culture. Some
Oh,
different.
nice.
So and I love, that's my favorite live fish food, blackworms, so I'll get he'll give me 3 large portions, which is about an eighth of a pound. If I bring him 50, these tiny plecos, I'm sure he'll do something like that.
Oh, I
But
imagine.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's all in supply and demand, and the problem is, uh, even me being a painter, uh, 3M, they told me that uh, like a percentage of all of our products are going to go up in price because of all the tariffs.
yes,
And so I'm like, if we can start interbreeding and selling and keeping everything local, and between you, me, and the fish family, we can keep the prices down and
oh
not
yeah,
kill
yeah,
our
yeah.
and not kill ourselves on prices.
Yeah, some places are
When
having trouble getting fish from like Florida because of just different things.
Well, or Indonesia, people are getting fish from Indonesia. You know, they're sitting on a trailer out in the middle of the ocean somewhere.
Yeah, it's a thing. I mean, Alex, that guy on Fishtory, Secret History,
Hmm.
he just did a video about potential tariffs. I think the thing that's going to hit us before fish, because all of us know breeders and things like that, and I think it's the equipment, right? Like, depending on if you use Twin Star lights, I think those are from Japan. Chihiros is from China. Higer is China. Fucking Higer, right? Excuse my French. They like try to give us, they're always hitting up fish keepers, and I'll give you this, I'll give you that. They're a Chinese concern, and I bet you they're like really freaking out.
Oh
uh,
yeah, I'm.
I mean, haven't you all been approached by Higer
Oh,
before, at least?
yes.
So they're out there, they're reaching all of us. All of us, they're like offering us free stuff if we do a video. And I'm happy to do that, especially if I need the thing. And mostly their stuff is okay, right? Some of it's better than other things. But China is definitely going to be an issue but for technology. But I don't think very many fish come from there. There's some gobies that do.
No, China sells some fish too. They've got some farms.
Southeast China, right? Like where you start to get into Taiwan, but
Yeah, I
that's
believe
not,
so. Look, the warmer portions. So they might cheat the system and ship them out of Taiwan.
and then Taiwan and China have a really scary. They're like frenemies at best, right? Like China was watching the Ukraine, saying, well, if they can do that, we can go get that country. And I mean, I'm not
I got
exactly.
my I got my Volkswagen parts from Mexico just the other day. So you know,
Everything's on hold though. I think for 50 days or something like that.
I think so.
yeah, 90 days.
My wife, she's an interior, like helps people decorate their houses. and nobody wanted to spend money last year on furniture. They're like, well, we'll wait. My husband doesn't really want to spend on a couch. Now they're all like, buy it now before the tariffs, because all that stuff comes from places. Yeah. So all these like $5,000 couches, you
Or
imagine
now
what they would.
$10,000.
Oh yeah, just impossible. So that suddenly my wife is like sitting at her desk all day long, ordering furniture before the tariffs like hit. So I mean, in a way, if you need air pumps and you want to work with Higer, maybe it's like the last chance if it isn't too late already. I don't
Well, and
know.
I hate to say anything about other brands, but Aquarium Co-op, I was watching a video and he's like, if I have a $400,000 trailer sitting out there, and then they change the tariffs, that $400,000 can become $600,000 in the matter overnight for the same product, and it's already sitting there.
Potentially even 800,000.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, how
he
far
said
it
he
goes.
goes, and he said that if they double it, he goes, if it becomes $1 million, do I go bankrupt because I have this cargo sitting here
Yeah, what did he
trying
say?
trying to
Like
come in?
I didn't watch that video, but yeah, most of his stuff he sources from China, right? I mean,
Yeah,
he
Well, there's
does
no place to source in the U.S.
so I know he has pretty good quality control. That's like the deal with Aquarium Co-op. But yeah,
yes.
those lights and all that high value stuff is subject to the tariff, right? So he must be. I feel for the guy. That's like I don't know what.
Well, when you think if you think you're paying $400,000 for a shipment, and it becomes $1 million for a shipment, I mean, Jesus, what do you do? I mean,
Close the doors and
you
walk
can't
away.
just well, yeah. What do? You just don't send it back. Yeah, what do you do?
I don't know. I mean, you try to get it in before you get that last shipment, and then you shut it down until.
Oh, we trust me. We ran to the local fish store and bought a whole bunch of fish food not that long ago because it's like if it doubles in price, then let's stock up now.
Yeah, I like use fluval bug bites. That's a popular item and
We love bug bites.
right, and so that's from what, Germany? I forget. Where's fluval?
Uh,
I think it's Europe. It's not Asia, but they're also subject.
I think you're right. I think it is Germany.
They're going to get a hike also, though, as far as I know.
Oh, yes.
Now there's people like at the swaps like that sell Ken's foods or whatever, those big bags full of every color
Mhm.
flake.
Yep.
And I got mixed feelings about that because I don't trust it. Like I feel like it might be a
Ken's
lot.
is pretty good food, actually.
Is it for sure?
Yeah.
Because there's
Yeah.
some.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
there's some Kens that we've had very good luck with.
I use it. Curtis
Just,
uses it.
I'll be
Okay.
right back, guys.
Ken's is a really good food.
There's a dealer
Nope.
at the swaps and he sells it in massive quantities. So that's an American guy, right? So that food is made here.
Mhm.
Right.
Is it? Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
so there's workarounds. If you can't get fluval bug bites, Ken's food has a black fly larva flake and pellet. So
Yep.
you could do that.
Yeah, he's Pennsylvania or New Jersey or somewhere like that.
I just remember watching a few videos or reading something online where somebody was criticizing that food. So I'm glad to hear that that was wrong, because that might be a way to get around.
Yeah, it's pretty good food.
because it prints. He prints the label at 40% protein, whatever. But I didn't know whether I could trust that, right? Because it's not. I don't know if it's FDA approved. It's just like because he says so.
None of it is. All of it is just because they said so. It's not regulated.
So because he said so, I mean, I'm not inherently. I'm from Chicago. I don't trust.
Yeah, but
you.
It doesn't matter if it's Fluval or him. They all just say so. It's not regulated.
I guess, but so Fluval, it's all if you say so. There's no governing body measuring protein from time to time.
It's whatever they say it is. Same with the ingredients.
It's the same with their filters where they say this FX6 is 800 gallons.
Yeah, that's bullshit. You have to over filter because none of what the specs are accurate. I mean, you always have to assume they're overstating what it does, and then plan accordingly.
Food is no different.
Huh. Well, glad I came on the stream to first of all
there are probably a few companies that are honest, and that might be how it starts out when they actually have all the ingredients, but they substitute, and when they substitute, it changes it, and they don't change the label for it.
I know that bug bites is always black fly larva, and I'm not sure what the substitute would be, but it's the binding agents and the fish meal and things like that.
Yeah. Because it's not pure black fly.
No, of course not. I watched a video where they showed I think it was from Fluval, where they had all the black flies. There was it's like a horror movie. There were so many of them, and they were showing how it goes from the larva, the little larvas, the maggots, to the fly, all that stuff.
You can get a kit for growing your own black flies. It's all self-contained.
I know my wife, that might be the deal breaker for her.
Although, where'd all these flies come from?
That would be that I wouldn't even like that. But I had grindle worms in my closet because you don't have to refrigerate the cultures, and that was pretty cool. Eventually, they crashed, and it was a lot of work, so I just stopped. But I might go back to it. Grindle worms were fun. I could buy black worms. They were really hard to get in a couple of years ago, but now they're becoming a little easier to get. There's only two sources in America, one on the East Coast and one on the West Coast. And other people are trying to figure out a way to source black worms besides going to California blackworm. And it was really tricky, and they were jacking the prices. It wasn't reasonable. Like if you're breeding and you want black worms, it just wasn't worth it to spend, $100 for a quarter pound. It's not worth it. If you have 40 fish tanks, you're done in a few days. And so
well, guys, I say we call her good there.
Okay.
Thank everybody for coming in. Steffan, thanks for coming up.
Oh my gosh, thank you. It was a lot of fun. I can't believe how much time you shot by. All right, Elmo, say goodbye. Elmo. This is the famous indifferent Elmo.
We'll see everybody next week. Different Elmo. Until then, we'll catch everybody later.
All right, ciao.
All right. Bye, everybody.
See ya.